Lee, we can't quite go okay yet. We gotta do Rush Hour 3. Come on, man, we ain't finished. Come on, we got some more Mushu to get. We gotta have Rush Hour 3 to review. Well, at least Tom Richardson gotta review it.
So, hey guys, sorry for the third time you had to listen to me say that for those who saw my first two Rush Hour reviews. But here we are. We are reviewing Rush Hour 3, the third and so far final installment in the Rush Hour franchise by Brett Ratner. There's been rumors of a fourth one, so be on the look for that. So, in Rush Hour 3, in this film, Lee and Carter go to Paris. There was an attempted assassination on a councilman that Jackie Chan's character is friend with. His name is Lee. Um, so they have to go to Paris and they have to look over a woman. They have to protect her. She has information and significance to this secret clan of some kind that Jackie Chan's character and a lot of other characters over in his country have been looking at information for the longest of time, and they have to protect her from getting into the wrong hands, or else bad things will happen. So for my positives and negatives of Rush Hour 3, guys, overall, I thought Rush Hour 3 was the weakest of the franchise. There were some good things about it that I'm about to share with you, but there's also a lot of things going against it that kind of make it the weakest of the franchise. So overall, for positives, I thought several characters from the first film returning was a good idea. Philip Baker Hall, his character from the first film, came back. I think he was Carter's boss in the first film. And the Asian girl from the first film who got kidnapped, she also appears again in this movie since this film also involves her dad as a character in the movie as well. Bringing her back was a fun idea. There's also kind of a small throwback scene that kind of reminds us of the first film in a way too, involving her characters. So as far as helping remind us of that first film, Rush Hour 3 definitely lived up on the nostalgic purposes. I also thought there was well-filmed action scenes in Rush Hour 3. There's a taxi scene here that, it's a taxi chase. Really fun scene to watch. It's really well filmed. And obviously Brett Ratner, probably did a lot of planning out for the scene to really make it work. And there's also some other action scenes in this movie that definitely feel planned out really well as well. I also thought out of all three Rush Hour films, I actually thought the villain in Rush Hour 3 was probably the best one. Just a really good villain in this film. He is connected to Lee. I won't spoil what it is for those who haven't seen Rush Hour 3 yet, but he has a very strong connection to Lee. I know the villain in Rush Hour 2 did as well. This one has an even bigger connection to Lee, and I think it's a little bit more effective just because it's a little bit closer to home for Lee. But just a really good villain this time. He definitely felt threatening. It felt like if you were to mess with him, he have no problem cutting your arm off with a samurai blade. Just a really good villain this time around. I also thought this film had a good use of Paris. We definitely see Lee and Carter really going all around Paris. They go into bars, they go into casinos, they drive in the streets, they drive in the taxis. They really took full use of Paris, and as a result, it's a lot of fun to watch just because we did see Brett Ratner really use the best of his environment as far as using Paris goes. And once again, just like in the first two Rush Hour films, specifically Rush Hour 2, there's a very funny blooper reel during the end credits here. Not quite as funny as the Rush Hour 2 one, because like I said in that review, the Rush Hour 2 one definitely stole the show as being the best blooper reel. It almost kind of made up for the flaws of the film as well in that movie. But anyway, back to Rush Hour 3. Just a funny blooper reel, again, during the end credits. Um, you know, Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan definitely showed how much work went into this movie and how much work went into the previous movies. And once again, Jackie Chan had a bunch of really deadly stunt work that he had to do in this movie. That even in the blooper reel, you'll see there's even a time where he went unconscious during one of the stunts. He definitely risked his life to really pull off these stunts in this movie. For my negatives of Rush Hour 3, this film unfortunately really isn't as funny as the first two films. There's some scenes here that either play out too long or scenes that just really don't hit the way that they did in the first two films. I don't know if that's just the script now allowing Chris Tucker to be as funny as he did in the first two films, or the fact that these two men really aren't fish out of water anymore. They're in Paris, they're in a different country, but neither one of them is a fish out of water really anymore, really. So in a way, they kind of ruined something that the first two films had going for the franchise. And by Rush Hour 3, that fish out of water thing, unfortunately, is completely gone. I also thought the ending of this film was pretty weak and messy. It felt like three different movies going on at once. In a way, some of the things going on in the ending it didn't really make that much sense, really. Um, Obviously, there was a wrap up. There was, an ending. We find out who died and who lived and everything. But it just felt a little bit messy and a little bit weak, and it felt like it didn't feel like a clear wrap up to the series. So that's what I'm really hoping we get a Rush Hour 4, because the way this film ended didn't feel like an appropriate wrap up to the franchise. Um, there was also a alternate ending that's available as a bonus feature on this movie. They didn't use it. It was just deleted. They were originally going to use this for the ending, and for whatever reason, Brett Ratner didn't use it. Um, I really would have liked to have seen that alternate ending applied to this movie, because this movie's only 90 minutes. I don't think an additional minute would have hurt it. And I think the reason why that alternate ending could have been used is not only are they back at the airport like what they were did in the first two Rush Hour films, because the first two Rush Hour films also ended in an airport. Not only would the third film end in the airport, there's two characters at the end of the film that we get to see. One that's returning from Rush Hour 2 just for that cameo, which we could have had, and then one from a character from this movie that, we was a little bit more clear wrap up with her character as well. Why Brett Ratner didn't use it, I don't really know. I think it would have been a better ending to the franchise. Um, I personally would have really liked to have seen this done, because not only would that given a cameo to a significant character from Rush Hour 2, a character from Rush Hour 3 would also have a significant ending to her character, giving the film a better wrap up. So overall, I'm going to give Rush Hour 3 a 7.5 out of 10. It's just really not as fun as the first two films. There's things here every once in a while that definitely remind us of how fun the Rush Hour franchise is, and how, some of those good elements stayed intact for this third film. There's just not enough this time around that's either new, original, or fresh, or good to really consider it a good sequel to the franchise. So 7.5 out of 10 for me. If you really like the first two Rush Hour films, it's probably just worth that one viewing that one time. After that, I really can't see anybody watching this a second time. So 7.5 out of 10, okay film. And I'll see you guys here for future movie reviews.